You may have seen a while back I did the Curse of the Werewolf kit by the brilliant Jeff Yagher. And what was brilliant about that was to finally own a Jeff Yagher kit. It was 1/8 scale, in scale with the old Aurora kits. So when it was done, I could put it alongside the old Aurora werewolf. Well, that was number one in a series that Jeff is going to be producing of Hammer figures in the classic Aurora 1/8 scale. And what Jeff has done, and I think he's going to do each time, on his Facebook page, he puts it up for the vote, who shall the next subject be? And in this box is the second subject. And it was, I think it was unanimous that it should be Dracula, Christopher Lee as Dracula from the first Hammer Dracula, right? So that's what's in here. So this is the unboxing. This has just arrived from the States, and I'm glad it's arrived because just in the last couple of days, tariffs have made shipping from America just ridiculous. That's going to have to be a big question of mine. Should Jeff produce a third one? Do I dare fork out all the money to get one? So here we are, very well packaged. What's this? 1/8 Christopher Lee Dracula base. It's a lot of resin just for the base. Has this got a label? Yep. 1/8 Christopher Lee Dracula body. This is unusual. We didn't have this before. 1/8 Christopher Lee Dracula head, arm, and rubble. Not Barney. And I think that's it. All right, I'm going to pause this, and I think before I take everything out, I'm just going to let's find the head and see what he looks like. And there we have him, Mr. Lee. Fantastic work. Christopher Lee seems to be a person who is it's difficult to capture their likeness. There's been many busts and model kits and action figures of Chris over the years, and no one's really nailed it. But no, I think Jeff's he's done mighty fine, hasn't he? Yeah, I like that. The only thing which would have been nice and was good on the Curse of the Werewolf kit is the iris and the pupils were sculpted in. They're not on this, so I'm going to have to freestyle paint it. But hey, that's a point. I was thinking if I mess it up, but you know, well, I can have the bloodshot eyes, can't I? Hopefully, I don't cock it up. All right, let's go and get everything out, and I'll return with everything laid out. Okay, so a nice simple kit. I like keeping things simple, and it's going to be a very simple paint job. So very heavy because this is old school resin kit, real resin, none of your printed stuff, and it's not hollow cast, so quite a bit of weight to him. But yeah, beautiful piece of sculpting as ever from Jeff. All right, so there's that. His left arm, hand plus ring, like so. Already shown you the face, but this is a puzzle. This is the front. Okay, I think, let's come on down. I've seen someone on Jeff's Facebook page, they've already built and painted this, and they've got it this way, right? Which makes sense, you have a bit of detail there. But this piece, all right, where does it go? Because obviously, that's the bottom of it, because it's smooth. So it stands a bit of an angle. But, excuse me, you've got detail at the back, but not there. Now, the guy had it somewhere around here, which doesn't seem to really make sense to me. I'm not sure which way round this base is supposed to go. Does it instead go like so? Does it? I don't know. I really, I might be leaving this piece off because, I mean, even if we had Dracula here like that, you know, you don't see the skull. It's got to be, he's got to be sort of like that, hasn't he? For you to see that. I don't know. Let's give everything a nice warm soapy wash. The arm I'm not going to glue in to begin with. I'm just going to put that in with blue tack for priming, because I figure it's going to be much easier to then take the arm off to paint the hand. Ditto with his head. All right, so let's come back with him in primer. Okay then, here he is put together with blue tack. I'm holding his head on at the moment. And then what I've done is I've sprayed him in grey primer, but then you can't really see with the light at the moment, but his face, his hands and his shirt, I've put on a coat of white primer over the top, just to help with doing the flesh tones and the white of the shirt. So next step is remove that head, remove that arm, and then I'm going to mask up the two hands, spray this sleeve black and the rest of him black. Oh, and there goes his head, and mask up the shirt, and then everything gets a coat of black. All right, so for the base, I could have gone with the grey primer, but I'm thinking with the majority of the colour of Dracula being black and grey together, it's too much of the same. So what you've got there is an Army Painter paint called Gargoyle Grey, which is nice grey with a tint of green in it. And I'm going to be putting washes on that before picking out the skull and the spinal column. And then with the skin tones, both on his hand and his other hand, and his face there, I've gone with a coat of Flayed One Flesh from Games Workshop. Over that I'll be putting on a fleshy wash, but you're starting to see now that Jeff has really captured the likeness of old Christopher. So yeah, looking forward to putting the wash on and starting to work on that. The only other thing, I wasn't going to do it, but I have decided to do it. I've masked off the inside of his cape. That's going to be red, of course, and that will help the red a lot if it has a white undercoat rather than a black undercoat. And as you can see, I've removed the masking over the shirt. I've got to pick out that shirt in a proper white. So let's come back with some washes on and let's see how things look. So I've based his skin with Games Workshop's Flayed One Flesh, washed it with Reichland Flesh Tone or Flesh Shade, which is a shade and therefore can stain things quite a bit. So I watered it down quite a bit and then dabbed it off where it was pooling too much. And I've since gone in, and then I dry brush lightly with the Flayed One Flesh, and again with that mixed with a bit of Screaming Skull, but I'm leaving it like that because what I want to do now is put in other colours before deciding whether I've done enough. So the next step was to put Reichland Flesh Shade again, watered down, but not so much around his eyes and the eyelids, in the mouth and up his nose. Okay, and then what I've done is his hair I've painted quite a light grey, because looking at all the stills, in fact let me illustrate that. I've got this is a really good book for reference photos, but you can see here, even in the very first of Hammer's Dracula films, Dracula did have a little bit of grey at the temples, So that's why I've done that. Okay, I've got to now I've removed that masking. I've got to paint the inside of his cloak red, and here's the base. And what I did was I got a pot of Nuln oil and a pot of rattling grime and just tipped one lot here, one lot there, got a big brush, moved it all around, dabbed the brush in water and sloshed it all the way around and just let that go where it wanted to. Okay, so of course I've got to start working on these bits. All right, so I've base coated the lining in Mephiston red. Next I'm going to put a wash on that and do some highlighting. I've looked at every photo I can find of Christopher Lee's Dracula. I figured his buttons would be gold or silver, but they're not. Everything is black, so everything is just staying black there, and I'm almost done. It's not bad likeness, is it, at all, on old Chris when he gets in focus. Yeah, so I'm just blocked in the hair. I'm dealing with the grey temples and that. The eyes, I'm halfway through. I've just got to lighten them up and put the pupils in and gloss it. But we're not far off. I think I'll come back once done. And he is done. Very nice, simple build and paint. As you can see, I didn't go for the bloodshot eyes or the bloody mouth. His pose is quite restrained, far more than if he was in his feral rage mode. So I've held off on the gore. So yeah, very pleased how he's come out. That's a cracking likeness to Mr. Lee. Excellent job. So very, very happy with this. This is, of course, Jeff's second figure in his Hammer 1/8 scale Aurora-style figures. Let's bring in the other one that he's done already, which is Leon. Move over, Chris. Let him in. There we go. So there's the two of them together. If I could change anything, I would say, I think though the name plaque was like a after market piece. It'd be nice to have a Dracula one there just for a bit of continuity. The other thing, it would have been nice if the Dracula's base was as thick as Leon's base, because Leon's base is higher, therefore Leon is higher, taller, or appears to be taller than Dracula, which he wasn't. All right, that's the only thing. That's the only thing. But no, love doing both kits. I'm hoping Jeff's up for a third one, and I'm hoping he'll do what he did before on his Facebook page, which is put it up for the vote. Who will be the next Hammer figure? I've got my hopes up for certain ones, but let's see if it my hopes come true. Let's just put it that way. Anyway, hope you enjoyed that. Thanks again to Jeff Yagher for producing another stunning Hammer kit, and see you soon.